From Best Friend to Girlfriend, author Agam Mora, Crossdress Small World. Part 5, Dance Practice. It was another hard night for me to sleep that night. I relive everything that happened today. Everything happened quite unexpectedly, in a direction that I could not have foreseen. From a thin, unattractive young man, I suddenly became a girl. From the usual cheap men's clothes, I switched to wearing extremely expensive and luxurious clothes, but they are for women. From a virgin who has not had a girlfriend for many years, I suddenly became another man's fake girlfriend. More significantly, that man has been my only best friend since university. But I don't think the reason I have trouble sleeping is because I can't adapt to what just happened. In fact, I feel like I've adapted quite well. It only took about half a day for me to learn things that I shouldn't have had the opportunity to know, such as wearing women's clothes, learning how to wear high heels proficiently, or the most basic manipulations in makeup. I even feel like I do better than a lot of girls. I vaguely felt that the reason for my insomnia was the strange feeling when I had a meal with Hayden earlier. It is very similar to the feeling when Hayden hugged my arm a few days ago when he was drunk. No matter how much I thought about it, I didn't know what this feeling was like. The next day, Hayden waited for me very early at my door. It's already Friday, which means we have almost 2 days left to practice dancing. Time was really tight, so I got up very early to prepare breakfast. Today, I made simple sandwiches. At first glance, this sandwich is no different from the kind of sandwich sold at fast food stores, but the key point is in the sauce. This is a sauce recipe that I've studied for years, so it's one of a kind. Unconsciously, I prepared up to 2 servings. I don't know why at that time I thought Hayden didn't have breakfast like me. But thankfully, Hayden hurried over to my house, so he didn't really eat breakfast. He even wanted to ask me to stop by a restaurant for breakfast before starting dance practice, but when he saw my nice sandwiches, he happily took them. Hayden smiled and said, "I still haven't forgotten the wonderful taste of your fried noodles the other day. I'm still looking for a good excuse to come over to your house to eat." I glared at him. Doesn't a rich young man like you feel embarrassed saying things like that? Hayden waved his hand. There is a real dainty in front of you. Class and status are only fleeting. So, we just went on the road and had breakfast. On the way, Hayden repeatedly complimented my sandwich. Although I was quite confident with my sauce, when he complimented me, for some reason, I felt very happy. After a while, Hayden stopped the car in front of an extremely large mansion. He got out of the car and said to me, "This is my house. We will practice here. Don't wonder why we don't go to a dance floor to practice." All the wealthy families in Sea City take dance very seriously. For them, dance is a culture of the nobles. So in the mansions of rich families, there is always a standard ballroom. I went with Hayden into his mansion. We've been gone for almost 5 minutes and haven't been to the training ground. I swallowed a sip of saliva. Perhaps, I still underestimate the financial potential of Hayden's family. This mansion is several times bigger than the mansion of the rich in the TV series I've seen. A few minutes later, I was given a sigh of relief when we finally arrived. I asked Hayden, "Every time you practice dancing, do you have to go that far?" Hayden turned to look at me and laughed. His smile annoys me even more. I asked, "What's so funny?" Hayden waved his hand. Sorry. Of course, there is a small car, similar to a golf cart, on the grounds of the mansion to get around. I froze. And you made me walk for 10 minutes? Hayden is still laughing, to quickly digest food. I looked at Hayden with a slightly angry expression. It wasn't until later that I understood the real reason that Hayden wanted us to walk together. That is, he wanted to be with me for a little longer. The ballroom is an isolated area in Hayden's mansion courtyard. Although it is only a private ballroom, it is not inferior to the outside ballrooms. Inside the ballroom, there are 2 maids available at any time. These maids are very professionally trained. They know almost all the skills of a nobleman. So, Hayden arranged for one of them to follow and guide me. In the early stages, of course, we couldn't do the dance together right away. I needed to learn the basics of dance before I could get along with my partner. So Hayden and I divided into 2 different areas to practice. During my training, I did not wear that slit evening dress, but only a simple sports clothing because the first stage was not too necessary. However, I still had to wear the dance heels I bought at the store yesterday. Because I know time is too tight, I focus more on training. It didn't take too long, and I learned the basics of dancing as a woman. I thought to myself, maybe I'm suitable for the hobbies of the rich so I can master the skill of dancing so quickly. In the process of learning to dance, many times I also glanced at Hayden's practice area. Unlike me, dance is something that Hayden has been in contact with since he was a child, so his movements are all very mastered. I watched Hayden's every move for a while, without realizing that I had been attracted since when. I also reaffirmed my determination. For someone who has just started practicing, I can count as a talent, but my ability is not enough to be worthy of a skilled dance partner like Hayden. All day, we practiced individual movements to the best of our ability. I was so engrossed in my practice that I didn't realize it was already evening. Hayden's voice resounded, making me come out of my concentration. You've been practicing hard. Let's stop here today. Tomorrow we practice together. I turned to look at him. It's already this late. I'll pack my things. Hayden said. While practicing, I looked at you a few times. You surprised me quite a bit with your amazing learning speed. If you keep it that way, we're sure to win tomorrow. I also don't trust Hayden's words too much. Maybe he just said that to encourage me. I don't think we can win after just 2 short days of training. But I didn't expect it. Not only was I looking at him, he was also looking at me. For some reason, I felt happy knowing that. Before leaving the ballroom, Hayden suddenly stopped and asked me, "Would you like to try male dancing moves?" I thought for a moment and said, "That's fine." I learned very quickly about women's dance moves, so I thought maybe I was gifted with dancing. Therefore, I also think that I will easily learn male dance moves. But unfortunately, I thought wrong. It took almost half an hour. Even the most basic male dance move I could not do. Am I only gifted with female dance moves? It's really disheartening. No man wants to master a woman's movements more than a man's. A few minutes later, I had to give up. Hayden smiled and said, "That's why before, I told you that if you don't know anything about dance, it's easier to practice female dance moves. Once you have done the male or female move, it will be very difficult to do the other side. Now let's go." I nodded, silently accepting the truth. I thought to myself, the reason I can't do the men's moves is because I've done the women's moves first. This will comfort me a little. At least, I think I'm still very talented in dancing, it's just that I didn't practice the male moves first, that's why I couldn't do it. But I'm also sad because from now on, I can't dance as a male dancer anymore. But then I hurriedly shook my head. I don't even have a chance to attend dance party like this anymore. We got in the car and started moving. I thought Hayden would take me to a restaurant again to have dinner together. But unexpectedly, Hayden took me straight to my house. After that, he followed me into my house. I turned to him and asked, "Are you going to?" Hayden smiled and said, "Of course I get a free meal." "Aren't you going to invite me to a meal? There is no restaurant that serves delicious food like you." I rapped Hayden's head lightly with my knuckles. Hayden held his head but kept a smile on his mouth. "My girlfriend is so fierce." I blushed, turned to him, and said to him, "If you talk like that again, go now." Hayden hurriedly said, "Okay, I know, honey." To be continued. Today's story would like to stop here. Thank you for watching. Please like, share for people with similar interests to motivate me to develop my channel. Goodbye and see you in another stories.